the remaining segments.
I'm gonna write down these time frames that you're sharing, just so I get it right.
Okay.
Sorry.
Opening statement is 2 minutes. The next segment, they all get 90 seconds. And then the questions from the floor is 1 minute. And the closing statement is 1 minute. All right? All right, one word of caution before we begin. Please keep your applause to a minimum until the end of the forum so we can keep within our allotted time frame. Now let's welcome our three candidates, Bob McPartlan, Jennifer Pippin, and Brooks Robinson. All right, Brooks drew number one, so he's going to go first with his opening statement.
There we go, test, very good. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us here. Thank you to the Republicans for Life for hosting us and Dale for moderating. My name is Brooks Robinson. I'm running for Indian River County Commission District 2. A little bit about me first. I'm a business owner, an attorney, a husband, and a father. I'm someone who had the pleasure to grow up in this community, and now I get to share that pleasure with soon-to-be two sons. I'm deeply committed to making sure this community stays the high-quality, family-friendly community that we want. I want to fight to keep Indian River County that way. How do we do that? 5 things. First, we need to make sure that we're investing in public safety. We need to be able to recruit, retain, and equip the men and women that keep us safe in this community. Second, we need to make sure that we're managing growth responsibly. We need to have high quality growth, not developers that want to come and exploit our community. And we need to make sure that we have the infrastructure to support both the people that are here and the people that may come here in the future. Third, economic development. We have to have the businesses in this community that are hiring, our neighbors and our children. They have to be able to grow their business. We want to be able to attract other businesses to move here, high quality businesses with good paying jobs, and grow the community that way. Fourth, fiscal discipline and accountable government. We want to make sure that the tax dollars, your tax dollars that we're collecting is being spent responsible, that we can demonstrate the value that we provided to the community with those tax dollars. The services that the county is running need to be run efficiently and not be something that holds government back. Finally, and that's protecting quality of life. There's a reason we all live here or chose to live here or moved here. It's a high quality of life. We want to protect that. I'm Brooks Robinson. I'm running for Indian River County Commission District 2. You can find out more about me on votebrooksrobinson.com or feel free to come and talk to me afterwards. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for having me out here. For those who don't know, my name is Bob McPartlan. I'm the current vice mayor for the city of Sebastian. I've been on the Sebastian City Council the past 15 years. But for the past 25 years, I have been protecting the life of children. I don't take that as a slogan. I've been investigating child abuse and work with healthy families to get, I guess you could say, what is the barriers where women choose to end a pregnancy? They get in the way. Largest one is probably poverty. So what can be done to get them to change and be for life? So it's breaking down some of the barriers. Poverty is probably the biggest barrier that people face in access to services going forward. So I have worked over the years. We used to have the highest fetal infant mortality on the Treasure Coast here compared to the rest of the state. But in collaboration working with Healthy Start, Treasure Coast Community Health, and many other providers in this community, we have reduced those rates. We haven't reduced them enough, but we have reduced those. And that's how I've been involved throughout my career. As far as running budgets, I think we will run a tight budget for the county commission. The referendum is there. If it passes, there will be some cuts that need to be made. When I started on Sebastian Council, we were coming out of a recession, and I also seen what the experience was like when you kick the can down the road in passing off costs, how to get back on your feet. So I would know which services could be cut, and then there's others, such as law enforcement and first responders. They're a no. They have to remain at level funding at a minimum. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Pippin, and I am running for County Commission District 2 candidacy. So I first want to say thank you so much for being involved voters and being here today, and also to the Republicans for Life and you, Dale, for having us and doing this. So it's very important because you need to hear from your candidates. So I thank my fellow candidates as well for coming and letting you guys hear their voices, good, bad, and indifferent, and be able to ask those hard questions. So why am I running? I am running because I was asked by many elected officials and constituents once they found out that Joe Flesher was retiring after 20 years and winning 5 elections. So that's one of the reasons why I'm running. The second is I think you run when you think you could do a better job than the person that's already there. Well, if he's retiring, of course, I feel like I could go into that role with a new set of eyes. I've never been paid, under government. I have everything that I've done for my advocacy work has been for $0. It's actually cost me money to do a lot of the things that I've done. And I'm ready to step up and serve in this capacity for you. I am running for you. This is a community effort. This is not about my agenda and what I want and what I think. Everything that is my priority is what I've heard from knocking doors and doing events and having a reach out to people and asking and seeing what they need and what they want. I am the only District 2 candidate that is in support of Amendment 3, Save Our Homes. Why? Because we need that relief. Our single parents, our veterans, our elderly population, they need that. Is the bill perfect? Absolutely not. It is not. But what I could tell you, as your county commission, I will make sure that first responders are taken care of, our elderly, all of our families, and I look forward to your vote on August 18th. Vote JenniferPippin.com. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with the first question, and we'll reverse the order. So when it's your turn, then turn that back on. All right. According to the State Agency for Healthcare Administration, there were 60,755 abortions reported in Florida in 2024, the latest year on record, with 272 of those abortions involving Indian River County residents. To clarify, those numbers reflect county residents who had abortions, not necessarily the county in which the actual abortions took place. Since Indian River County has no operating abortion clinics, it is apparent that county residents are either visiting abortuaries in other counties and or accessing the abortion pill through the mail. When do you believe that human life begins? And if elected, will you take steps to ensure that no abortion clinics are permitted to set up shop in Indian River County? Also, how will you use your influence to educate the young women in our county as to the inherent dangers of the abortion pill, the use of which results in serious and even life-threatening health issues for 11% of the women who use it?
So thank you for this question. So I am 100% without any doubt pro-life. I am pro-life 110%. I stood at the gates of Tallahassee with Erin Grahl when she was advocating in this, for this community and for the state. How would I make a change here locally? If anything came to me for a vote to have an abortion clinic or to have anything of that nature, I would absolutely vote no. Get this on record. I will say it publicly and privately, absolutely not under my watch. I think it is disgusting that the Democrats of Indian River County celebrate being in the building where they used to do abortions here in Indian River County. I have memos, I have videos. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And we as Republicans have to take a stand and say, not in our community, not here anywhere. I have protested at the abortion clinics in Fort Pierce, where a lot of our residents are going to have abortions, try to talk to them, try to have those hard conversations with those mothers going in and getting ready to abort the children. So for me, I am, again, 110% pro-life, no exceptions. My mom grew up in foster care. My husband grew up in foster care. So if they were aborted, I would not be here today, nor my children. Thank you.
All right. Right. Well, as far as abortion clinics coming to Indian River County, I will follow the law. If it's allowed, then it's there. Not that I promote it, but if it's allowed, there's not much you can do. You can fight it, you can sue it, and then they will win. But as far as what I have done for my career, 25 years and over the past 13 years, is how do you make women get to say yes to life? And I think in the groups I've worked with Healthy Start, with Treasure Coast Community Health, we have tried to break down the barriers where women are choosing to abort a child. And that has to do with people in poverty, access to services. One of the great ones right now is we were fortunate that we didn't lose the maternity ward here in Indian River County. If we were to do that, the abortion rates will go up. Not just the abortion rates, but the fetal infant mortality rates will go up. And the fetal infant mortality has to do from in utero up to 1 year old. And actually this afternoon, they're staffing some of those cases. So those Friday afternoons don't do well with me. But I look to collaborate with anybody in the room that wants to help a woman change from having an abortion to not, and breaking down those barriers and offering any help and assistance that we possibly can.
So the first part of the question, when does life start? And we all know in this room, and we're all taught in church, and we're taught that it starts at life. And I don't know everybody's story here, but I became a father 2 years ago. And if you've been through that experience, I don't think you could ever make an argument other than that. And anything that isn't in support of that, I'm not in support of. I must admit, I don't want to see any abortion places here. So I wouldn't be voting in favor of them. If we are told that it is the law that we have to have one, if Tallahassee changes and changes the laws, I don't want to see our county be swept up in a national litigation and wasting our tax dollars on fighting about something that we're told we have to do. So if it's a choice we have in the county, I'm happy to make that choice to support what we believe in and what our rights are, but I don't want to fight Tallahassee on that. But I think the more important issue is the mothers in the equation. If we give young mothers economic opportunity, health care, and support and services that they need to be able to live the life that they want to live, be the mothers that they want to be, and they will make that choice. And we should make sure that we have all those resources available to them, whether it be through church programs, through community programs, through healthcare programs sponsored by hospitals and other healthcare givers. Let's be in support of those.
All right, question number 2. Remember, you do have your rebuttal chips there if you'd like to use any of them. If Amendment 3 passes, Florida homesteaders will receive long overdue property tax relief, but property tax revenues will be slashed dramatically. What is your position on Amendment 3? What is your plan for maintaining critical public services? And do you expect to have to raise local taxes to cover the lost state revenue?
So I'm assuming I'm first, right? Yeah. See, Bob, you got the middle. This is easy. Yeah. So I will tell you, I am all for the state and the counties looking at ways to adjust, reduce what our tax burdens are. I do not believe that this particular amendment is tailored in such a way to do that. I think it was rushed through, and there's going to be a lot of knock-on effects that aren't anticipated. Sort of getting to the third part of the question first, if we reduce property tax revenue, there will be some counties and cities that find revenue in other places. I believe a lot of those will be non-property taxes. Those are your non-ad valorem fees and assessments. I believe those assessments harm the low income, the fixed income, the disabled, and those more than the property taxes are. There's a lot of things I think Tallahassee and counties could do to reduce what our tax burden is. There's a lot counties could do to cut spending to reduce what taxes are. I will make sure that our public safety resources and our public utilities are not, well, I can't say not affected, are not reduced the quality of their service. We will find reductions in other places to be able to pay for those. I don't know exactly what that'll look like. We'll have to see what the numbers come in. But if we don't have a safe community and we don't have clean water and things of that nature, then there's not much of a community here. So we'll keep it safe and we'll work forward from that place.
I guess the property tax one gets everybody all excited. And my position is, I'm glad that the voters get to decide what it is, because in Sebastian, they're still talking about the garbage being mandatory. and I was for having subscription service, keeping it the way it was. But they still battle on and on about that. As far as the property tax referendum as it is written now, I do not support it. Because one, there is no backup plan. I was in the United States Army as an explosive ordnance disposal specialist. My number one thing, anytime I went downrange, what's the worst thing that can happen here? It blows up. Every time I knocked on a door for child abuse, what's the worst thing that can happen here? A child dies. How do I prevent that from happening? With this referendum, there is no backup plan if it's not working. And you can't just change a constitutional amendment. I am all for tax reform. I've been through 15 budget cycles for the city of Sebastian, and you can look at that. Don't pick and choose a comment that was made or taken out of context, but go through the budget, see what happened. We held a budget workshop for Sebastian last year. People were commenting about the police department. The police department cost us $9 million, which is not even the ad valorem taxes the city receives, but somebody's commenting they should be able to do that with $2 million. A new officer costs $97,000. $60,000 pay, $37,000 in benefits and retirement that has to be in. Easy math, 10 cops cost $1 million. So you have to do the math. So the referendum as it is, I'm not in support of.
If I knew you were going to ask this question, I wouldn't have said this in my intro, but we'll elaborate on a little bit what I said. So again, I am the only county commission candidate running for this district that is in support of the people for Save Our Homes. I have done the math. I have met with a lot of elected officials. I was the only candidate and citizen that sat through the budget workshop at the beginning of this month. And, a lot of people are not talking about this. I'm putting it on my socials, but you don't see the news talking about this. The county commission is looking to vote to reduce their budget for $92 million for next year. Okay, so let's do the math. The first year with this referendum, when and if it passes with a 60% or more vote in November, they were estimating a reduction of about $22 to $22 million in the first year. Okay, if the county has already reduced $92 million, let's do the math. We're in the clear, right? And then the next year, they were estimating about $50 million reduction total. Well, if they continue to reduce everything and not cutting services, then we will be in the clear. It's just simple math. We also need to look at cutting nonprofit organizations that are getting taxpayer-funded dollars. We have over 1,800 nonprofit organizations, many of which that are doing great work here in Indian River County. But the question is, should taxpayer dollars be going towards that? Okay? So again, taking a good hard look at the budget to help protect our people here in Indian River County. Thank you.
All right, question number 3. Approximately 875,000 to 900,000 new residents relocate to Florida every year. But when factoring in the roughly 500,000 to 600,000 people who move out of the state, Florida experiences a net population gain of between 200,000 and 400,000 people each year. As a result, there has been an increasing burden placed on infrastructure, including roads, the power grid, schools, hospitals, and emergency services, not to mention housing. For its part, Indian River County has been adding an average of 1,200 to 3,700 new residents each year for the past decade. If elected, how do you plan to balance controlled growth while maintaining the high quality of life Indian River County residents expect and deserve?
So again, I like Bobby Williams saying Florida's full, right? But we saw with COVID, we saw the growth. We see the growth. Everybody wants to come and move to Florida. Everybody wants to come and move to Indian River County, right? So we have to do it, again, with taxpayers in mind, with our citizens in mind. When people want to put up big developments, we have to make sure we have, the police to be able to cover it, the hospital to be able to cover these things, okay? I know everybody wants to talk about having, large growth out west because there's a lot of agriculture lands. For me, agriculture, absolutely not. We're not touching that agriculture agriculture zoned land. We're not touching the protected lands that are, protected for the sea turtles and, the beaches and things like that. So for me, if it came to a vote, I would absolutely say no to taking away from those agriculture lands. And there, has been times with the county commission where they have made it residential or commercial. So for me, I would say absolutely no. We have to make sure that we have enough schools for all of these things that we want to build. And we have to make sure, and it is even with the new amendment, that the things are taken care of that have to be taken care of. And again, that's another reason why I support it. It's page 17, line 414 of what is required to be taken care of. And that includes the roads, the bridges, and everything like that as well. So thank you.
Could you repeat the question again? Just a couple of quick ones, just to get fresh in my brain.
Okay. Well, if elected, how do you plan to balance controlled growth while maintaining the high quality of life Indian River County residents expect and deserve?
That's fair enough. Is you got a plan for it. I've been on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is planning the roads for the next 10, 20 years, and look at that. And any huge development that is coming in, make sure that they are paying for the water and the sewer hookups, as well as like in Sebastian, any major development that's made, they have to have access to their own water and sewer. And then hopefully, when those big developments are made in the unincorporated areas of the county, as well as the city of Sebastian, hopefully we can branch off some of those sewer lines so residents can hook up that are on the septic system now, because the state passed a law where if they're not on that new type of septic system, they're gonna have to pay $25,000 to get the newer septic system. So make sure that developers are paying for the cost for the infrastructure, and then branching off, like I said, for that. And as you mentioned about so many residents that are leaving, that's one of the fears that I have if the referendum passes. A large number of those people that are leaving is because the assessments that are happening down south, and they're being priced out of Florida. So you have new residents coming in, but some who have been here are moving out, and that's a concern of mine, that assessments will happen and cause more people to leave.
So I think the biggest thing that you can do as a county commissioner is bring a mindset of what the community wants. Take that mindset, communicate it effectively with the community and effectively with your fellow commissioners, and make decisions that align with that mindset. If our principles are we want a low-density, family-friendly community that protects the lands that need to be preserved or that are environmentally sensitive, that we want green spaces, then make decisions that cohere with that. We also want to make sure that as we do have some growth, that the county is not going out of its way to give the developers what they want. Let's let the developers convince us that they're building the kind of communities and resources and public spaces that we want as a community. I don't think there's really a mechanism for us to say there's going to be no more growth. So let's make sure it's the high quality growth that we do want for our community. Let's make sure there's space for schools and for grocery stores and pharmacies and doctors' offices and all the rest of that. If we can get the growth that we want, the character of our community can stay much the same that it is.
All right, question number 4. Speaking of housing, the median listing price for a home in Indian River County is now $430,000, with a median sale price of $388,000. Meanwhile, home rentals average $2,800 a month. Those prices are unaffordable for many seniors on fixed incomes, single parents with children in daycare, and young people just starting out with student loans to pay. And yet, most new developments seem to only feature 3 and 4 bedroom homes with 2,500 to 3,500 square feet, and few, if any, what we used to call starter homes. If elected, what will you do to make housing more affordable for Indian River County residents, particularly seniors, single parents, and young people?
Okay, well, I'll start with this. I don't think government builds housing, right? Private enterprise and private individuals build housing. So I don't think the county commission, or I as a county commissioner, don't believe that I have a role to build affordable housing. I do believe the county commission has a role in setting the framework that allows housing to be built if that framework is accessible, if that framework is set out ahead of time so developers know what to expect, they can comply with it, they can get a reasonable negotiation, know what to expect, plan accordingly, and not get tied up in drawn out permitting, that can bring the price of those houses down. The longer a developer waits to get approvals or the more they have to give in concessions, that can affect affordability. There's also some affordability that we can't control. House insurance has been one of the biggest increases in housing costs, and that's not something the county commission can control, but we can do things like stormwater management that prevents flooding in areas where there hasn't been historical flooding and pushing people into flood zones and having to buy flood insurance, which can be very expensive. The flip side of this is that we also need to have jobs in the community that pay people enough to be able to buy the homes here. So if we grow aerospace at the airport, we bring in financial services firms and people are making higher wages and can live and work in the community, that also makes it a more affordable place for them to raise their families.
That was an interesting question, because that's also one of the barriers which might lead young women to have an abortion, is because of the affordability for housing. I can tell you what we did in the city of Sebastian. I found out that the city owned 90 buildable lots up in the city of Sebastian. So I asked the city manager if I could meet with Trevor Loomis from Habitat for Humanity. And he said, sure, and met with him, and we would make the first priority of a home would be a Sebastian employee, next would be a Sebastian resident, next after that would be an Indian River County resident, of course with the higher echelon being first responders and teachers in our community for those residences. And I was surprised that my other council members, they agreed. And we have given them 3 pieces of property. So going forward as the county commissioner, any development that happens, I think the only way to truly build affordable, attainable workforce housing is to work with a nonprofit. So any development that happens is having the developer donate a percentage of the property that can go towards that type of housing, as well as not just for first-time home buyers, but also seniors who are downsizing.
Thank you for the question. So I agree that government should not be getting involved in affordable housing. I think if we make Indian River the best community to live in, we make sure that we have good jobs, that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing with the budget, and making sure that we are financially transparent and have accountability, people are going to move here and they're going to be able to afford to stay here. And again, another reason why I'm in favor of the Amendment 3 passing in November. That's going to give $1,200 to $2,800 average money back in people's pockets. So when you're talking about retirees, or you're talking about single moms or dads, or people that are on a lower fixed income, this is going to put more money in their pocket. And then year 2, it's going to be double that, okay? And again, it doesn't change anything for rentals, commercial businesses, anything like that. All of that income is staying the same. It's for homesteaded individuals. It's raising that exemption. So again, I would work on bringing good businesses to the community, cutting the red tape. I spoke to a lot of business owners that wanted to open 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses. They already have one here, and they've had a lot of problems with building and permitting. I would, as a county commissioner, try to make that easier for them to have good businesses, whether they're large businesses or small businesses, so we can get kids fresh out of college to be able to have those jobs and bring better and good paying jobs here to Indian River County. So thank you.
Our first chip.
So the affordability issue and the Amendment 3 is not as straightforward as that. There will be people that receive tax benefits if they're on a homesteaded property. But if you're in a rented property, or if you're in a multifamily house, or if you're on a rented piece of land and you own a modular home on it, this is not going to give you the same homestead benefit. So if our goal is to help those that need the most help, that have the lowest income, those who are on fixed incomes, those who are on disability, simply lowering the property tax for those of us that own homes is not going to give them any direct benefit. So then, on top of that, if we have to add a fire tax or a police district tax or something to be able to afford those public services, because we have to cover those for our community, those will be going on as either an increase in the tax rate, right, or as a non-ad valorem assessment, which again, as I said earlier, I think is a very regressive form to pay for those services.
All right, question number 5. Most Republican candidates take similar positions on the main issues. So I think we're all interested in getting to know who you are as a person. More specifically, what makes you tick. Who or what have been the 3 greatest influences in your life? And what is your favorite book, movie, and hobby or leisure activity?
So it was people, and then
Your 3 greatest influences and your favorite book, movie, hobby, or leisure activity. We want to know what makes you tick.
sure. This is a hard question because there's not 3 people that have that. The list is much longer than that, right? So I have to start with my parents, right? They raised me in this community. They brought me to church. They invested in all of the things that I wanted to try, whether it was band or soccer or baseball, and they gave me a lot of opportunities to grow. The second is going to have to be my wife, who I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't have the family that I have without her. The third, I'm going to have to say, is the pastor that I grew up with. He helped me through some difficult parts of life, and without him, I wouldn't be the man I am today. And now I'm getting emotional about that. So in terms of movies, I'm a sucker for old movies. My favorite is North by Northwest. In terms of music, if you're at the REC Forum, I'm a sucker for jazz. I'm kind of an old soul. So anything that's kind of not from my era, Frank Sinatra, Count Basie, you name it, that's what I like to listen to. In terms of hobbies, I enjoy, when I can, getting out and doing sporting clay shooting. But right now, my hobby is taking care of a 2-year-old and taking care of a wife who's going to give us another beautiful boy. So, and that's the best thing I can do with my time.
All right, 3 influences again. I can get away with saying my wife because she's not here currently. But number 1 was my parents. You know, they instilled in me a sense of service. My mother started the first volunteer ambulance corps in Brooklyn, New York. It happened during the 70s when New York City was going broke. And it's still there to this day. And she had me out on the street corner. At that time, a nickel and a dime and a quarter went a lot further than they do today. Then she put me in the United States Army, and it was my first sergeant then, Nicholas Helagreza. He taught me a lot. He taught me how to do a checkbook, as well as taking me throughout the country. He always had little places that he would visit throughout the Midwest. Whenever we used to protect the president, vice president, and others deemed important. So me and him always used to win as a team, and it never failed to amaze me that he knew a place in every little city that we went in and exposed me to so many, wonderful things. Third, I have to kind of go off on Brooks, is my pastor, Grant Foster. He has since left our church. So if anybody knows of a good pastor, we are looking for one down at Riverside off of Roseland Road. As far as books, I'm in the midst of doing the Bible recap. That was given to me by Grant Foster for the first of the year, and every day reading a passage, and by the 365th day, getting through the entire Bible. As far as music, I'm like a talk radio guy, but I have also been listening to the Bible as I drive throughout my 4-county region. And for fun, I guess traveling, I enjoy traveling.
Thank you for the question. So the 3 most influential and important people in my life, first I would say my husband. Like I said before, he went through foster care, and he is just an amazing person. He is, you always look for your person. He's my person. I love him dearly, and I couldn't do this life without him. Second, my daughter, she's actually in attendance today. She's at that table there. She was the one who made me a mom. So for me, that was very important. I always wanted to have a family, and I'm so proud of her. She graduated from Sebastian River High School. She just got her associate's degree at Indian River State College. She's working on her bachelor's, and she is looking to transfer to the University of Florida in 2 years for her law degree. So I'm just so proud of her. And then my son, he is not here. He's probably running around with some of his friends in the county somewhere. He graduated from Sebastian River High School a year early, and he is looking to go into the Army. He is just waiting for his medical clearance to be able to do that because at school in December, he got the tip of his finger chopped off, and they said that it was a violation because they said it was he has to get his feeling back in his finger. So as soon as he gets his feeling back in his finger, he can enlist into the United States Army. Books, I'll be honest with you, the last book that I read was 2 years ago. It was Irreversible Damage. It was talking about transgenderism in our schools and with children. Very impactful to me and the work that I was doing, through my advocacy work with parental rights and children. So thank you for the question.
All right, that's the end of that segment. I have 4 pretty good follow-up questions, but I want to also give an opportunity for folks to ask a question from the floor. One?
I have a question.
Okay. Nice and loud, Joanne.
I have noticed many more rental communities getting sprouted up here in Indian River County, at least here in Vero Beach. I want to keep Indian River County red, and historically renters are not Republican. What can the county commission do about this? A community opposite our development was originally supposed to be condos, but the owner couldn't get it approved by the existing county commission, and we do have a rental community across from us. Thank you.
All right, these are 1 minute each.
Thank you for your question. So again, we're not going to stop the influx of people that are coming in here, but as your next county commissioner, I would definitely reach out to the community and see, do you want this development to come in? Is this something that our community wants? Where it is getting placed? A lot of people were upset when the apartments went up across from Vero Neurology and Orthopedics. And a lot of those are empty. So again, I would do a community reach out, whether it was a survey. I'd ask you to come to a county commission meeting and hear from you, my constituents, to see if that is something that you wanted or not as serving as your county commissioner or public servant. Thank you.
I guess a clarification would be, are we talking renters or Airbnbs?
Renters.
Renters.
But
Okay.
they still tend to be transient. They still
Still
tend to be.
transient. Yes, in some areas they are, but a lot has to do with the affordability crisis, and they're being priced out and can't afford the rent. So if there are problems within those areas, you got your land zone. If it's zoned that it could be, a rental in there, that's one thing. But if there are a problem and a nuisance in the community, that's what code enforcement is for. And to make sure that code enforcement is following up, not just citing, but citing and actual action being taken on those.
So I think the question has 2 parts. So the first part being, if it is zoned to allow for that, I think we allow the developer and the landowner to reach a decision on how to best use their land, right? I don't think I should tell somebody how to use their private property. If it's not zoned for multifamily, say it's zoned for single family or something like that, and they're asking for a variance or a waiver or for rezoning, then we need to look at what the character of the community around them is like. And are we putting 150 units in the middle of what is otherwise single family homes, and the roads aren't capable of handling that kind of traffic? Then I wouldn't be in favor of something like that. Is this an area where it's already converting from maybe retail and mixed use, and an apartment community or a condo community wouldn't change the character of the community, and it's on large roadways? I wouldn't necessarily be against that. I think there's some variables you have to look at. The differentiator being that as a county commissioner, you have to have judgment, you have to have discretion, and you have to be able to explain to the community why something should be done or why something shouldn't be done. And I think that's what we can demonstrate.
All right, stand up very loud, please.
We've all been talking about infrastructure and growth and all the values that are associated with it. In the meantime, we have an overwhelming amount of people coming here, and I look around for the roads, and they're in terrible condition. Some don't even go through from one avenue to the other. And on top of all that, with all this development that's coming in, what is the county or the people there in our government doing to be able to provide for adequate parking and having facilities to park cars? If I go out, if I didn't belong to this club, I couldn't eat in any restaurant, because quite frankly, I couldn't find a parking space in front of it, and it's getting worse every year. This is a serious problem that really has to be dealt with. There's nowhere around, are there any plans for hippodromes or anything like that that'll solve the problem for parking, and it's only gonna get worse. So I think that's something that really needs to be considered, other than some of the agenda we spoke to this morning.
I think that's a great question. I think that gets to some of the periphery issues around growth and infrastructure, right? So we need to have grocery stores and doctor's offices and restaurants and retail centers, not just in 1 or 2 or 3 places. They need to be throughout the county so that you can get in your car or walk or whatever your form of transport is and go to the place that you want to go to, that it'd be close and convenient to you, and that it'd be a safe and enjoyable environment, right? So if we turn down a Publix or a CVS pharmacy or something like that on the west side of town, that means everybody on the west side of town has to transit further inland to go to another place, which is putting a larger number of people through the same stores that already exist there. So I hear your concern. The county should be more proactive about making sure that we have the resources that people need to live their lives closer to where they live and not, congested in one area.
Some of the roads in the community are horrible, and that's where I worry about if the tax referendum passes, they're not gonna get any better. But again, any new development that happens, you gotta look at those arterial roads, how they are functioning. Like the land that's been annexed by the city of Sebastian down along 510, those homes won't be developed for a long time, for 5-10 years. But if you look, the plans have already been done. 66th Avenue will be finished before that ever happens, as well as 510 will be 4-lane from 512 down to US 1.
Thank you. So I'm glad that you brought up roads. That is one of the required things in the amendment. Again, it's shortly after line 414, which lists what is required to be covered by your county commission ad valorem taxes. Anything that is not listed on that amendment 3, starting at line 414, is considered not necessary. It is up to the public to decide what would be, enforceable. So like for us, we would have lifeguards, but maybe in the center of the state, they would not have that. So with the roads, I asked this question as I was knocking doors in Vero Lake Estates, where there's only 1 or 2 paved roads and everything else is gravel. And I was told that 1 mile of road cost the county $2 million. So that is something that I would definitely like to take a look at and see if we could get some maybe lower bids or get some money from the state, instead of, again, it going to nonprofits and things like that, going to our roads, going back into the community for us that live here. And again, not giving that money to NGOs where they should be, raising their own funds. And again, I appreciate your question. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to finish with one question for each of you, 1 minute to respond. And if you get a question that you didn't, or somebody else gets a question that you'd like to respond to, use your chip. All right, Jennifer, you picked number 2, right? 3, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
You are running for the seat that has been held by Commissioner Joe Flesher for 5 terms or 20 years. Do you think that is too long to serve on the county commission? And if so, what is your position on term limits for local elected officials?
So great question. So for me, I think there should be term limits. We have term limits with our Senate, with our state house representatives, with school board. I think that county commission should follow the same. I think that after a certain amount of time, if you can't get something done, maybe somebody else should have the chance, get a fresh perspective on it, let somebody else reach to a different number of constituents and see if they can make the county better. So I absolutely do believe in term limits, and if elected as your county commissioner, it would be 2 terms for 8 years for me.
All right, Bob, your question?
Well, I guess I'm the only so-called career politician here, having been on the Sebastian Council for the past 15 years, where I've earned $300 a month, $450 a month when I was the mayor. And last year at the 2-day budget workshop, I had to take off I had to use 2 vacation days from my job. Being in local politics is where the rubber meets the road. This is where problems can really, occur. They can set you back. So as far as term limits, for the city of Sebastian, there's an election every 2 years. I think that is the opportunity to turn. I think there is something to be said also for institutional knowledge. I think Joe Flesher stepping down after 20 years Like him, love him, hate him. The man has a lot of institutional knowledge that you can't just jump into this job and hit the ground running. Even for instance, the Metropolitan Planning Organization and understanding how all the roads work, how all the grants work. And the cost of roads has gone up 50%. You can't just send something out to bid. If people bid, that's what you pay. You can't get somebody to do it lower. And as far as, sometimes the county doesn't fund nonprofits. They fund programs that nonprofits provide that can do services better than the county can, just like they get a
I'm
company.
gonna have to stop. That actually wasn't your question, so you used both of your chips to respond to Jennifer's. So Jennifer's gonna use her chip to respond to yours, all right?
Can I throw a chip?
No, but that wasn't your
Okay.
question.
Oh, all right.
So, all right, but the fact that you responded to
Well, you
it,
give me a different question?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
All right, but Jennifer's gonna use her chip to rebut your rebuttal.
Sorry, I really apologize. I didn't mean to throw it off. I was trying to be cute and make it land there. So about the nonprofit organizations, I disagree with my opponents because yes, they say that they're funding programs, but a lot of the money is going to salaries. So also some of the nonprofit organizations that are getting funded by the county commission, one of them, for example, netted $19.5 million last year, and they got money from the county commission and the hospital board on top of their donations that they took in, which is great. I mean, if any nonprofit can raise $19.5 million, kudos to you. But I don't think that they should be getting taxpayer dollars after that. So when they say they're funding the program, you need to look at the salaries that are going to some of these people. And also, again, they're doing great work, but should it be coming from taxpayer dollars? That's what you guys need to decide and not us as elected officials, public servants for your community. Thank you.
Just a reminder, your rebuttal chips are 30 seconds each, okay? All right, Bob, this is the question you're supposed to get, all right? Every time I see a new building going up, I ask myself, is it going to be a storage facility, a car wash, a Dollar Tree, or an auto parts store? If elected, how will you work to see more variety in the types of new businesses that are granted building permits in Indian River County?
My God, I don't understand car washes, but they must make money because the people want to put more and more of them up. But I think one is any development that's coming up. For instance, there is the 1,000 acres that were annexed into the city, and we told them we wanted to see a town center and not dollar stores, but actual commercial businesses in there. And also, we want them to build the commercial businesses before they do the residential portion. Because a lot of developers you'll see, especially if they come from out of state, I don't trust them right off the bat. I love the local developers who do great projects. Is sometimes they want to do all the residential and then just leave the commercial behind. But holding their feet to the fire to do commercial first, and commercial that you want to see, not the dollar stores, not the car washes, or storage facilities. However, they do make money.
All right, Brooks, you were number one. Number one was dealing with traffic congestion, which I think has already been answered, so you're going to get number 4, all right? Would you be in favor of turning the Vero Beach Regional Airport into an international airport? Why or why not?
That's a good question. Haven't had that one actually in these events. So I think the growth of the airport is really good for the community. I think it's good for economic development. I think it's good for people that have either grandkids or parents or job commitments that aren't in this community. It's an easier way to get to those places. We have a lot of restrictions at the airport that are set by the FAA and not by us locally. So our airport can only handle 1 commercial jet an hour per parking spot. And so we have 2 parking spots. So there's not a lot of growth potential there in terms of how many planes we can get in. The airlines decide what's going to come in and out of the airport, not the airport itself. So Vero Beach Regional Airport just provides the infrastructure, the runways, the fuel, the luggage services, things like that. So it would be great if we could walk to the airport and fly to London or fly to Tokyo, wherever it is people wanted to go. I don't see that as being probably a reasonable market demand, but I would encourage reasonable growth within the constraints we have at the airport to better serve the community.
All right, we're going to start now with our closing statements, and you went last. on the closing statements, or opening statements, you're gonna go first with the closing statements.
So again, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out and listening to your county commission candidates, and for Republican for Life for holding this forum. Is very important. If you want to learn more about me, you have hard questions, you want to know anything, vote jenniferpippin.com. And I know a lot of you in this room, we've done a lot of really good work together over the past decade through nonprofit work and having some really hard conversations and doing some really hard things. I would like to continue that as your next county commissioner. Thank you and have a great day.
Once again, thank you for putting on this event. And all I can say is I've been in this community over 25 years, and I have committed to serving this community on many different levels. I work for the Department of Children and Families, but I give a lot of my extra time to nonprofits that are making a difference to make life better for families and for children. Any resources that can go. And again, like I've said, I've participated and collaborated in a lot of groups that will give young women the opportunity to say yes to life, as opposed to quite possibly ending a pregnancy.
Well, I'll echo the thank yous for moderating again, Dale, and thank you to Republicans for Life for having this. There's only so many of these we get to do in an election cycle, and each one is important, and it's a way to reach a different demographic of the Republican Party, for our primary races. So again, I'm Brooks Robinson. I'm running for Indian River County Commission. I'm a lifelong resident of this community. I'm a business owner. I think I bring a mindset that from the private sector, where every dollar has to be justified. I don't bring a career of government service, and I'm not someone who wants to come in and turn everything upside down. I want to bring judgment. I want to keep this community more of what it is now than what other communities look like around Florida. I think I'm the person that can fight for Indian River County and make it a safe, family-friendly community.
All right, now it's your time to applaud these three candidates. I've shared before, I've been on the hot seat before. I ran for House of Representatives twice myself up in New Jersey, and it's not fun. It's fun in the rearview mirror, but this is difficult. So I appreciate all three of you stepping up and sitting on the hot seat, and one more hand for them, all right?